Will the killing of Sinwar make Israel closer to achieve its military objectives? This is why we always call their killings death trophies. They like killing trophies. These people are sick. No, of course not. They're not going to achieve their objectives. What's with the prisoners of war? If you are worried about the people, would you try and take off the management? The question. That's a question here. So Yahya Sinwar is in charge. You were saying he was surrounded by the people who are imprisoned in Gaza, the Israelis, the Israeli prisoners of war. If you take down the command, you might leave, and not that that would happen, by the way, with a movement like Hamas. They're very well organized. You're risking people taking things into their own hands. Very simple. We had an instance where one of the Palestinian fighters lost it and killed a few people after Israel killed his family members. Of course, Hamas said we took action. This is not our way. This is not what we do. But aren't you risking the Israelis? Do you see the narrative? They're playing on the emotional side of everyone when it comes to the prisoners of war of Israel imprisoned in Gaza, calling them hostages when they don't give a fly about them. They kill them deliberately. They targeted them and they wish all of them would die. Stop joking. Stop kidding everyone. And for the people who are still saying hostages, shut up, you ignorant fools. The country that's supposedly fighting to get them back sold them. They're murdering them. By confirmations from day one, by confirmations from the people, the Israelis who fled, by confirmations from the IDF that they targeted them and were ordered to target them. Who are you fooling? We're witnessing a project that is bigger than what it is perceived to be. You're talking about the last neo-colonialist, genocidal, supremacist entity in the Middle East having a maximalist war to try and impose its will and serve its masters. The United States wants to completely get hold of the region, dictate what's happening, and send the message to everyone, to China, to Russia, to every single one. Do not challenge us, don't dare challenge us. And this rabid dog, these depraved, the most depraved people on earth in this Zionist genocidal entity are implementing that plan. That's what's happening. It's not about the Israelis in Gaza. It's not about them. They want them dead. If they wanted them alive, they would have had to deal with Hamas on day one, you stupid fools who are still talking about the Israelis in Gaza. Have an ounce of brain, you ignorant imbeciles. Israel sold them. Who are you kidding? So, they're not going to get them back. Are they going to stop the resistance against them? I want an ignorant fool to come and tell me now that that's going to stop the resistance against them. You targeted dozens of leaders of the Palestinian resistance, of the Lebanese resistance, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, Iranian leaders. It will not stop. It will increase the fuel against you. So far, Israel has put itself at more and more and more risk. Ever since the beginning until now, they're trying to portray that they have these death trophies and we're killing the leaders and we're shaping the way. And they're bootlickers, the Zionists in the Arab world, the Zionists in the Western world are trying to act like, yeah, it's the end of the era of these people who are ruining everything. No, you fools. It's the beginning of the era where the resistance will be writing the future of the region, serving the people of the region, not the greedy people in power, taking off all of the resources and licking the Zionist and US boots in the region. That's what's going to happen. And if you can't see it, then you're not really seeing properly, because the resistance is escalating after the assassination of the people and the genocide and targeting. It only escalates. We haven't seen it fade away. Have we seen anything fading away? No, we haven't. That means you will not be achieving, and that's from an Israeli perspective, your objectives by power. You will not be doing that. The only thing you will be doing with the increase of your barbarism is dig a deeper hole that you will be falling into. And now it's not just about Gaza, it's not just about Lebanon, it's not just about Yemen, it's not just about Iraq, it's not just about Iran, it's about Jordan. Now we have two people from Jordan storming Israel from the borders of Jordan, after we had a recent attack where a Jordanian killed 3 Zionists on the borders with Israel. And now we have more Jordanians near the Red Sea taking action against Israel. Israel is claiming that 2 soldiers were wounded. 2 soldiers were wounded. And they also said, we killed 2, but 1 is on the run. One of them is on the run. Well, where is he? What are you doing exactly? The Jordanian front is the longest front. It's the longest standing border with Israel. And what you labeled as strategic peace agreements with Jordan and Egypt are crumbling right in front of your eyes because of your own problems. It's becoming common now. Every Jordanian who feels like going into Israel and carrying out an operation, they go and do that. What led us to this moment? Netanyahu and his government, and everyone supporting him and his government and his state, by refusing, firstly legitimizing, don't forget the early days, we haven't woken up today. In the beginning, every single country that is traditionally allied with Israel vetoed the ceasefire. The US, the UK, France, Nazi Germany, all of them, they vetoed the ceasefire. When China and Russia and Brazil said immediate ceasefire now, well, Hamas told them, we're willing to reach a deal now. We actually did this because you're not listening. We have people who want out, we have problems. We can't sit there and wait. Even though they were offered. Yahya Sinwar was offered fortunes. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was offered fortunes. Israel and the US, they regard them and treat them different than what they treat the Arab slaves. By the way, the puppets. They treat them differently because they fight them. They have more respect for them. So they offered them the world, thinking that, well, listen, we'll give you millions, we'll give you billions. Hell, okay, just speak against us if you want, but just don't stop fighting us. No, they said no. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. And again, if they had any interest in their own people and the safety of the people of Israel, then they would have done something. They would protect the people of Israel. But all they're doing is increasing the problems of the people of Israel. That's what they're doing. They're killing the people who they should be worried about, the prisoners of war in Gaza. Israel is killing them. And that's not just me saying that. That's the families of the people imprisoned in Gaza in Israel. Our prime minister is handing them the death sentence. The political establishment is giving them the death sentence. Halevi is in charge. Got everyone in charge. You are killing our people in Gaza. That's not me saying that. That's the families of the Israelis imprisoned in Gaza are saying. But you're not hearing them on mainstream media, are you? You're not hearing them. The people who were released from Gaza, and they hardly give interviews because there's censorship and aggression against them. But those who did, when they had a limited amount of liberty in the beginning, well, they were saying everything. Gaza, they treated us nicely, the resistance. Israel was targeting us as and when. Reach a ceasefire now. It's time that we reach a solution. No. So they're killing them. Yet, some imbeciles, and of course, agents and people who are, Zionists, they're still selling the notion of that. Please don't talk to us about the prisoners of war in Gaza from now on. Just shut up. Because if Israel cared about them, they would have released them from day one. So don't act like you care about the Israelis imprisoned in Gaza. Stop plastering their images everywhere. Plus, we had, in total, with the missing, who are most likely martyred, 50,000 Gazans, 17,000 of which children. Unless you're going to plaster all of these images on your headlines in newspapers and evening news from here up until 2025, then shut up and don't post anything about people who Israel is killing inside of Gaza, 50 of which they were killed in the first month. Please, spare us. Spare us. Their government is selling them. Don't act like you care about them. Stop this garbage. We are witnessing more intense days to come. Gaza is not stopping. With the assassination of Yahya Sinwar, well, the resistance was annihilating them, was putting their heads in the sand of these genocidal TikTok depraved soldiers. They were blowing them apart. Likewise in Lebanon. In Lebanon, they're going a few meters to Lebanon, taking a picture next to a Lebanese municipality. And you know how much that picture costs? Their life. That's how much it costs. They'll go take a picture and try and flee quickly when Hezbollah will have an ambush for them, and they can go and meet their friends in hell. So now you have Jordan too. More actions coming from Jordan. And clearly, although the situation is on very high alert, there's no answer. What kind of strategic thinking here is there in this state? Plus, it says a lot about who? The US. Kamala Harris and Biden are trying to capitalize on the assassination of Sinwar now to what? To try and win the elections. So long for you trying to reach a ceasefire. Well, who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to talk to? So you're killing everyone who you can talk to. So say it as it is. We don't want to talk. We don't want to deal. Well, then that's it. Stop saying anything and just let the fighting continue. Let's see where it reaches. Like I said, Hamas, they were offered the world previously. Israel thought, maybe they could rule Gaza and, leave us alone. Little they knew that the spirit of the Palestinian people is of a different caliber. And people in Israel don't realize that. They don't understand the Palestinian spirit. And the spirit of the people who seek freedom and liberty and justice, they cannot comprehend that because they're too far on the other side. They cannot comprehend things that are noble and just and heroic. They cannot understand that. When you are at the lowest echelon of humanity, you cannot understand people with virtue. You can never understand that. So that's why this will continue up until we have something decisive. This isn't ending. And the more it continues, the more the tone of the resistance increases, like Al-Qassam Brigade is now, up until we liberate every single inch and do not leave one Zionist on our land. Kill more people so we can listen to the tone that's going to come later on. And they're still going to be fighting. Which leads us to the final thing that I wanted to share with you, and then I'll open the space up for your comments. Iran has weapons that are more superior than nuclear weapons. This is the report that we're getting. What are these weapons? Let's have a read. So we had this article here in Iran front page, so a website here, saying that former IRGC official says Iran possesses weapons stronger than nuclear bombs. Brigadier General Ibrahim Rostami, the former head of the International Relations and former secretary of the Development and Equipment Commission of the IRGC, revealed the news on Tuesday in an interview with Dideban Iran Watch News and Analysis website. We have equipment far superior to nuclear weapons, he said, while supporting a recent demand by Iranian members of parliament to change the country's no nuclear weapons doctrine. We spoke about the no nuclear doctrine and requests from Iranian members of parliament to change it, over 30. Signed a petition to the supreme leader. You need to review that. We have genocidal murderers threatening us with nuclear bombs. It's no time to say that it's, against humanity or whatever. If people are warning you with a nuclear bomb, you warn them with a nuclear bomb. He explained some aspects are unknown to them because these are highly classified top secret information. Rostami hinted at past tactical operations referencing incidents where oil tankers were targeted in the Sea of Oman and the port of Fujairah, the UAE. He also noted when former US President Donald Trump aimed to bring our oil exports to zero, several tactical operations occurred. I won't say who carried them out, but 5 tankers exploded in the highly secure port of Fujairah. They don't even know where the hit came from, he stated. He also mentioned attacks on 2 Japanese tankers in the Sea of Oman during the visit of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to Iran in 2019 as Trump's envoy. They don't know what hit them, otherwise they would have proven it. They even filed a case at the UN. Initially, the UAE blamed us, but they couldn't provide evidence, Rostami added. And indeed, the official narration was probably hit by UAV, but again, they couldn't come up with the relevant evidence and things to connect it to Iran. Rostami underlined that Iran possesses advanced equipment that surpasses nuclear capabilities. Some things must remain known only to this extent for now. These are part of the examples I can mention, and we have equipment far superior to nuclear weapons. This is new. Before, we had a statement coming from Iranian officials after the genocide cartel started sending representatives telling Iran, don't attack Israel, they're going to nuke you. And they told them, we'll respond with the same manner. We will respond with the same manner. And they responded afterwards. Is Israel going to nuke them now? And if they're going to nuke them, what's going to happen to Israel? Iran is practicing very high levels of restraint when it comes to Israel. So they are putting themselves in certain chains. They're still tying themselves to Iran, and they're playing it, according to international law, unlike what their enemies play it, by the way, unlike what the US and NATO play in Israel. They're all ugly, unconventional war. That's what they always do. They never play by the rules. They put the rules for other nations so that they can have the upper hand. Typical arrogant empire approach. Iran is still, to this day, playing by the rules. Hell, Russia and China are still playing by the rules. And the moment they decide to give the United States and its puppets a taste of their own medicine, you can say goodbye to the US empire. The US empire can remain in the US and then face its own problems. And why do they do that? Iran, Russia, they have more responsibility. They are the ones who have a collective understanding of how the world operates and genuine care for human life. Unlike the people who are justifying genocide in front of their eyes with evidence coming every single day. They're trying to cover it up to this day on every single mainstream media. And do not ever in your life trust mainstream media, even if they come with things that are true. Never believe them. They will put poison inside. Never trust them. To this day, they're trying to cover up what Israel is doing. So is Israel going to nuke them now? Go ahead and nuke them. Go ahead. When you nuke them, that's it. You know, the talks about wiping this entity off the earth, that's what's going to happen. They're waiting, you know, the IRGC leaders and people in Iran, you know, just waiting for that moment. And this stupid, psychopathic, genocidal imbecile, Benjamin Netanyahu, is leading everyone there, thinking with his own delusions that he's actually achieving something. And some people in Israel realize that, by the way. Now, we recently had a warning from sources in the intelligence establishment in Israel. If we don't reach a deal now, after the killing of Sinwar now, that was by coincidence, by the way, we can have dozens of what? Of Ron Arads. Ron Arad was a pilot who disappeared in Lebanon. Some say Hezbollah took him, some say Amal took him, some say Iran later took him. Israel knew nothing about him. This man, Israel was looking for him for years. And campaigns in Israel, Ron Arad, he was born for freedom, and. Now they have no care for any life. They manipulate the brainwashed imbecile population of Israel. But some people in Israel can still see past that. And those people are sidelined because the country is implementing a regime of military censorship and punishing everyone by constantly publishing this racist, hate-filled rhetoric in mainstream media, justifying genocide, celebrating the murder of children, all of these horrific stuff, trying to brainwash more and more people into this death cult. Some people in Israel still see past that despite all of this. And these people are sidelined and they're silenced and they're imprisoned as well. Some of them sometimes dare to say something, risking everything in front of them. And Netanyahu's escalations are to stop these people as well. Like before this escalation with Lebanon, what happened? 800,000 Israelis were in the streets calling him a crime minister, saying he's killing the Israelis in Gaza, saying he's leading the country to total destruction. Anything you can imagine, hundreds of thousands, unprecedented numbers of Israelis protesting against their own genocidal government. Reach a deal with Hamas. They'll wait for Abu Ubaida's speech. He said, reach a deal. They'll wait for Hamas and Nasrallah. Reach a deal. They agreed. But he doesn't. And he goes and he does something else. Why? Because there's an agenda behind it. They have reached a level of arrogance where they think they can dictate everything, literally playing the role of this evil God on earth, astaghfirullah. Playing the role of, I can take the life and danger life and as if they can do everything. But again, evidence on the ground shows, despite all of that, people are still facing them. People are still confronting them. And although we have talks coming People in Israel saying, okay, now is the time. Okay, now is the time. Well, we killed Sinwar. Well, what do you want next? Well, if we don't have a deal now, we're not going to have anything. And Hamas are telling them the same thing. Deal by the conditions of Sinwar. Stop the war, withdraw from Gaza, release all prisoners, rebuilding Gaza, allowing the people back to all of that. What did you achieve? Nothing, but made things worse upon yourself. And where things are going? Escalation.